Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the City of Oconomowoc Committee of the Whole meeting for Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. Has appropriate meeting notification been made?
Yes, Your Honor, it has.
If you'd call roll, please.
Alderman Douglas. Alderman Rozak.
Here.
Alderman Altman Cloth. Here. Alderman Ellis.
Here.
Alderman Spiegelberg. Here. Alderman Mulder.
Here.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Here.
Alderman Kavieski.
Here.
Welcome, everyone. We're going to go on to committee business, discussion and direction for in-house hybrid design method for Oconomowoc Parkway sanitary sewer replacement. Staff would like to hopefully leave this evening with some direction. Mr. Fry.
Yes, thank you. Just so that you're not worried, we did give the rest of the staff the night off because everything was Public Works tonight, so I told them that they could be home for once on a first or third Tuesday. So that's why the room is fairly empty. Thank you, Mayor. The item before us tonight is our first step into trying to move in the direction the council has been requesting for quite some time of starting to do some of our projects with in-house design. And what makes that possible is the recent hires of Jason Herzog as our Director of Public Works and our Assistant Director of Public Works, Heath, and I never remember how to say his last name, so I'll leave it at Heath. Very good, qualified gentleman. But with them on board, we started talking about some things that we can do when the suggestion was brought up by Stan Sugden when I was talking to him. He said, you know, this Oconomowoc Parkway sanitary sewer relay would be a perfect job for us to start out and see what we are able to do in-house, what we need some help with, and where we need, you know, additional equipment or something like that. So just real quick, the Oconomowoc Parkway sanitary sewer, we've talked about it for a few times here. It's undersized due to how certain things developed over in Pabst Farms. And so there's a long stretch of sanitary sewer that needs to be relayed. And we normally would have gone out and done an RFP and brought in an engineer to do all the design work. And what we're looking to do now is utilize our in-house people as much as we can, but in the areas where they either don't have the skills or they need assistance, like maybe the DNR submittal forms. So instead of us spending a few hours trying to figure out how to fill out that form, someone from Rooker Milky would walk us through on how to do that the first time. And we would then gain that knowledge and experience. Same thing with DOT permitting, that, you know, they have a lot of forms and things that got to be done certain ways, and, you know, look to get assistance for doing that. And so our request tonight is that we're proposing that we'd like to move forward with this idea, and we don't have the cost and we don't have everything in place, but if the council provides us the direction, we'll put together a scope of services. Jason and Stan will talk. They'll determine, you know, areas that, you know, we might need some work, where we might need some assistance, and then we'll come back in 2 weeks with a cost proposal, and it'll be a not to exceed without council approval type of a proposal, which our engineering proposals are now. So that's what we're looking to do tonight. If you have any specific questions, both Stan and Jason are here and can answer anything that you have.
I have one question for Jason. Jason, have you done this type of hybrid approach at any other jobs prior to Oconomowoc?
The most common way was we would use our internal staff. We were structured much differently.
Okay.
I've done a style like this in Brookfield, where we hired a consultant to help us with the design, and then we basically had a package to assist us with very similar to this. It was a brand new road in Brookfield. I think it works very well because you're utilizing what you can do here, and with the assistance of, you know, more technical skills that might not be available directly in our office. We're working towards some of those activities, trying to pick off some of the work that, you know, we're familiar with and have experience with. So this would be one of those opportunities that, you know, would work well in that favor. So I guess that, you know, to answer your question, yes, I've done it before. I think this is, you know, fairly common for municipalities in general, is to, you know, utilize as much staff as you can to reduce those costs, and then, you know, refer to some of the more technical firms with those types of activities.
Alderman Kavieski.
When you visit this, will you put in time required in order to develop that new SOP? Because it is a new standard operating procedure, process, to bring it in-house and potentially, dual path, right? So you're gonna have some projects that maybe come in-house, some projects that stay third-party, and not missing a beat on that direction. That'll have to kind of be massaged and developed as
Correct. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be standard operating, but it might be.
Optional
Right.
operating.
It might be, you know, a lot of experience that we gather from this process and blend it into some of the work that we can do, knowing what works well. This one has some unique components to it. It's not every day we're gonna drill underneath a state highway. So having some experience, you know, from guys who might do that throughout the state is valuable for us. We won't do that every year. So I think those are types of the technical pieces that we would utilize and refer to some of their staff. I think that's beneficial. I don't think it's worth our while to hire someone with that type of experience or look for that directly to have on staff. But I think with the more routine pieces of work, if this was, you know, a standard sewer that needed relay in a local street, we might not use them as much at all.
Alderman Rozak.
Well, I'm all for it. I'd love to see at the end of the project, kind of a cost breakdown of how much we save by trying to do, you know, maybe in this project, we do 40%, Rooker Milky does 60%, that saved us 80 grand in professional fees or 50 grand, whatever that is. I think that'd be a really good way for us to judge whether that policy initiative was good. And then kudos to city staff. This has been something that's been on my radar probably for 9 years. I know former aldermen like Ken Hero, like Derek, is something that Karen and I brought up when we interviewed potential city administrators, is what's the next step for, you know, Public Works, and this is it. So in my opinion, this is, you know, 8-9 years culmination of trying to get to a point where we can do some of our own engineering in-house. No offense to Rooker Milky and Stan, but trying to bring some of those costs in-house and try to, you know, be as efficient as possible. So I appreciate look at the outcome and how this works out and look at those costs. So thanks for getting this going, Jason. And Mark, I know you've been pushing this for a while, so I appreciate it.
I think it's a great idea too, a little debrief to say what worked, what didn't. It's not perfect, so we're testing this process, at least for the city. And then are there other resources you feel would even enhance our ability to respond in the future? So love to see how that goes forward. I'm fully supportive of it, pending council approval. Alderman Kavieski.
Final thing, in regards to that initiative, this is really only available because you do have a design engineering background.
Correct. I think that would be one of the biggest components, like Alderman Rozak said, that, you know, if we can split this up into some type of percentage, you know, if I can produce a stamped plan from an engineering standpoint, that is probably a large piece of the work from a design piece. So I think that would be a big advantage, you know, that we may not have had directly here.
The point of that is it took a while to find you, and it was worth the wait. To hire the right person for the right job to get us to that next level is something that needs to be intentional and purposeful in what we seek, or we get stuck. So it's kudos to the process of making sure that occurred, because there was some time in there, I think, because you pulled some double, triple duty for a long time. We're like, do they really need the engineering? And yeah, it was a good move to make sure that we got that.
Other aldermen, what are your thoughts? Are you good with directing staff to move forward in this process? Or maybe I would ask, is anybody that is hesitant or wants to add anything to the conversation? Because I think we're going in a good direction. And any other comments? Okay. Mr. Fry, what do you think? Anything, other
No,
comments
no,
you want to make?
I'm very excited with this project. Like I said, we feel it's a very good fit for our first project going in. Not that it matters, but all of these costs will be assessed. So we'll be coming back at future meetings One, with the proposal from Rooker Milky to work with us, partner with us on this. We'll be in here talking about the preliminary resolution for the assessments that we'll have to, get going on. So this project will start rolling because we do want to get that sanitary sewer relayed so that there's vacant lands that could develop if there's people out there willing to do it. So thank you very much for listening to us and your support.
So based on our interpretation, council's going to move forward. Stan, Jason, thank you very much, and we'll look forward to seeing how it goes.
Yep. Yeah, we'll work with
Perfection is ideal, but usually not reality. So let us know, but also think about it as you move forward, Jason. Are there any other resources that we may need or we haven't utilized in the city? So our goal is to be efficient with this, decrease our costs, and then hopefully have some great projects in partnership with different firms. Thank you. Thank you for all your comments. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Kavieski.
Second, Rozak.
All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Great. Thank you, everyone. We will be in a holding pattern.
Yeah, smoke if you got them. Smoke if you got them.
Yeah, we'll start at 7:30 promptly. Thank you, everyone. Everyone, I'd like to call to order the City of Oconomowoc Common Council meeting for Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. Has appropriate meeting notification been made?
Yes, Your Honor, it has.
Wonderful. If we would all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. Would you call roll, please?
Alderman Douglas.
Here.
Alderman Rozak.
Here.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Here.
Alderman Ellis. Here. Alderman Spiegelberg. Here. Alderman Mulder.
Here.
Alderman Shellpepper. Here. Alderman Kavieski.
Here.
I'd like to entertain a motion for the minutes for March 24th, 2023. A reminder that these are printed on your desks from our city clerk.
So moved.
Second.
Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. On to comments and suggestions from the citizens. I have 2 blue cards, so thank you very much. You have a 3-minute time frame when you come up to address the council. This is a one-way discussion where you share your ideas, your comments with the council members. They're not going to be responding back to you during this part of the program. When you come up, please state your name, your address, and where you live. Lisa Rodolfi.
I'm Lisa Rodolfi. I live at 215 East Pleasant Street, which is Flower Lake Village. We were going to bring 92 people, but I see you have 91 limits, so we just kind of limit our people. I'm here with a bunch of owners from Flower Lake Village, condo owners, and thank you for letting us speak, or let me speak on the topic. Our topic today is we want to talk about the abandoned buildings on Wisconsin Avenue. The gray one, which is across the street, used to be, I think, the Enterprise had it, and then it was used for various uses and has been abandoned for quite a while. I don't know if it's condemned, I hear it's not, but the other one also is the white building, which is down on the end. So, let me tell you a little story so that you kind of guys get the gist of why we're all here and why this topic is so sensitive to us.
One thing I didn't preface, you have 3 minutes.
Oh,
and
okay.
so
I'll tell
ask-
a quick story.
So no, I just want to make
I'll
sure.
condense it.
Okay,
I was walking my dog, I went downstairs.
yes.
We have a lot of members here and a light. I would vote to allow her to speak longer.
That's fine.
See what's the topic for our
Agreed.
district.
Yeah, are all of the people with you right here?
Right here. These are
Okay.
all
You
from-
got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
No,
Times
Stan,
3
don't
is
do the math.
27.
27, but
I don't, I'm not going to vote to give you 27 minutes.
That was our thought process. Okay.
We appreciate
At Lisa, but no, not 27 minutes.
Thank you.
You may leave, Attorney Riffle. Stay here.
Second.
No, stay. Go ahead, Lisa. I just want to,
Additional time, I appreciate, so I can tell my story.
I wanted to make sure that you got your content out, so that's why I interrupted.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So my story is that we live in Flower Lake Village, and I was walking my dog down to the garden area, which is right behind our building. So as I was walking down, and I looked over, there was a board missing from the building that had either been knocked in, somebody tried to get in, or the weather pushed it in. I'm not sure why, but it was not there. And you could clearly see into the building. And it just so happened, timing was, there was a few rats that came out. They crawled over the window and they ran along the base of the building. Of course, my dog started barking, so I was protected, but I just sat back and said, wow. And then I looked up at our building. We have 46 units, condo units. It is a beautiful multi-million-dollar building where we pay a lot of taxes. And then I looked down and I went across 30 feet is that building, 30 feet away from our back area. So we're asking for you guys today to sit down with the owners, have a conversation, get this done, and take the building down in 2023. We are a force to be reckoned with because we're going to monitor and be a part of this till we get that done. Now, we have a few people here, but we will absolutely look at getting our group here as many council meetings as we can. So it's time to take those two buildings down, and actually, it's beyond time. So I'd appreciate your attention to this matter. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, and thank you for not having 50 people say the same thing. So would you like a little bit more time, Lisa?
No, I have plenty of time. My story was told, so I'm happy.
No, no. Thank you very much, and if one of you would like to meet with me after the meeting, I'd be happy to do so. Or all of you, but please be nice. Okay, on to our next item, next person, Lynn Wright. Lynn?
Lynn Wright, 707 Marigold Street. Okay, I'm here tonight to speak about the Highway 67 Tunnel Project and a recent social media post by Alderman Liu. Alderman Liu felt it necessary 4 days before today's election to post a social media attack ad against his fellow Alderman Kevin Ellis to endorse Kevin's opponent. Alderman Liu accused Alderman Ellis of destruction of public property for taking a couple shovelfuls of dirt near the tunnel site in July 2021. Here is the newspaper article and photo of the July 29, 2021 article. As you can see, there's a photo with several people. Who was there was, okay. I'm proud of Alderman Ellis for taking a stand to protect his constituents in the Lake Country community. The Economowoc Enterprise was there, Representative Barb Dietrich was there, I was there, and about 20 citizens from the cycling community were there to support the 6-year struggle to get the tunnel ramps built to open the tunnel. So are we all complicit in destruction of public property? Barb Dietrich is there, I'm there in the middle, and all of us, okay? So I found Alderman Liu's post appalling. I'm going to quote from a comment someone posted because I think his comment is very well stated, and I couldn't agree more and said it better myself. Quote, "The tunnel project started construction to allow safe passage underneath Highway 67, and then the project stalled and was drowning in bureaucratic red tape. Alderman Ellis took steps to get the project back into the public eye and back up and running to provide safe passage to our residents. You can call it a publicity stunt if you want, but if that is what it was needed to make citizens more aware, make politicians accountable, and to ensure public safety, I'm all for it." Alderman Liu, you are voluntarily resigning your position to end your years of public service by seeking to spew lies of a fellow alderman and try to defame him and sabotage his campaign is dishonorable. Instead of trying to unite the community, you sought to divide. The community wants to know why to vote for someone, not against them. They're tired of the negativity. I expected better of you, Liu. Shame on you, Liu. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other blue cards? Without any other blue cards, we're going to move on to committee reports. We'll start with consider act on resolution 23-R3114, awarding construction management contract for the 2023 street maintenance projects. Mr. Herzog.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This, as we discussed in committee, is the third part of our process in the construction piece of our street improvement plan. This would be the construction management. It was sent out for proposals and requested back from a variety of local firms to assist the city in providing a construction and field inspection. And you can see the task as listed in the background. This was provided by our design engineer, Ayers Associated, and this was to assist us with the hours contributed to the work as it is on an estimated basis for the appropriate firms to bid on. We received one single proposal on this. It was from Rupert Milkie. They submitted it back in March. And although it was just a single proposal, we did rank it based on the city policy and ran it through the same conditions as we would as many other proposals would have been submitted. So you can find those points in the summary of that in the financial impact. Rupert Milkie has put together a strong construction team for us. They have a knowledgeable field inspector who's worked for the city in the past, along with the construction management, to assist us with this process and this work. I feel very comfortable with working with them. Did talk and discuss about some of the issues with getting just one single proposal back and reviewing the elements that are associated with that to try to improve on that and being delivered back with multiple proposals to help that process. But with that, I'm asking for a recommendation here to accept this proposal and to move forward with Rupert Milkie as our construction management.
Thank you. Do we have any questions, comments from council members? Alderman Rozak.
Just very briefly, even though we got one bid in, these numbers seem pretty consistent with past numbers. We've had 4 street projects, whether it's one or multiple bids.
Correct.
So-
I did go back and review that to make sure that we were in there, and the way that this proposal is structured, it is basically a time and material type thing, so you can easily look at hours and rates that are being contributed to that based off of our estimated quantity here. So it's a very easy thing to assess and feel confident enough in what we're recommending here.
Motion to approve as presented?
Alderman Kavieski.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
All right, we have a motion on the table, on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second, and then we can,
Okay, you second. Comments?
during committee, we did talk about the timing associated with putting this out, and that if it was, and it will be in the future, put out the bid earlier, which should provide for additional engagement in the marketplace.
Correct.
The pricing is in line. We're not paying an absorbent amount of money because we only have one bidder on this particular situation. But next year, with an earlier bid process, hopefully late February or early March, there'll be additional participants. It's not because the process or the format of the RFP was out of line. It was just based on workload of the
Correct,
marketplace.
yes, we are reviewing, any opportunity that we can better improve the process, and I believe advertising this earlier in the season, if you will, would help that process.
Awesome.
Any further comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper. Alderman Kavieski.
Aye.
Next item up is consider act on resolution 23-R3120, awarding additional design engineering cost for the 2021 Olympia Fields Phase 2 project. Mr. Fry.
Thank you, Mayor. There's actually 2 items on the agenda tonight for Olympia Fields Phase 2, and they're both similar, but we'll act on them separately. The first one is for the design engineering costs. So back in 2021, Common Council approved R.E. Smith to do the design work on the second phase of Olympia Fields. They were also the designer on the first phase. The estimated cost at that time was $371,000, and we have a 10% contingency of $37,100 for a total net cost of $408,100. As we were going through the project, which the bulk of it was completed last year, we have some closeout items to complete this year once the weather's better, but everything is out there, it's functional, it's operational. We did meet the deadline that was set in order to have for the opening of Sendix for this project. It was a $5.9 million project. It involved a lot of work with stormwater, storm sewer. There was existing utilities out in the development, and that was part of our issues, and the fact that those utilities went in as private utilities back in the 70s, so we didn't have a lot of records on things, and not everything was where we thought it was going to be. We had some issues with that. We did ask R.E. Smith to do a couple added things, one being, punch list walkthrough. Normally, that's just the construction manager, but the complexity of this job, we did ask R.E. Smith to also participate in that. And then we also asked them for a warranty inspection on the plantings. There's a lot of plantings out there in the stormwater ponds. You don't see them right now, they're just little plugs. But when they come in, I mean, it's literally thousands of them in the basin over by the roundabout there. So all the plantings we got out there, so we did think it was a good value to have them come in and look and just make sure everything was growing the way it should, and if there's any warranty, to be able to get them replaced under the contract as proposed. So they had that, just the additional work during the construction. We were doing weekly site meetings. There were generally conflicts we were trying to work around. Sendex trying to open it and doing those things. So their additional cost for the project is $30,000, which is about 7%, 8% above the original number that we got, which bring in the total design cost to $438,100.
Any questions for Mr. Fry on items 6A, 2, or 3?
Well, I'll do.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Kavieski.
Aye.
Next item, consider act on resolution 23-R3, 121 awarding construction management costs for the 2021 Olympia Fields Phase 2.
Yes, sir. So obviously, same project. 2022 was when the construction management was awarded to Rupert Milkie. At that time, the proposal was $430,000 with a $43,000 contingency, total net cost of $473,000. This being the same project, ran into, construction between changes and revisions in the plan sets, working with the DOT out on the highway with changes that were there. Some of the staking for electric utilities is, during the project, it was anticipated that the utilities would be going in standard depths, but then the utilities had to come in and get power to Sendex in order for them to open, so they had to engineer that, stake that out, and do that. We ran into, a lot of the private utilities. They were an issue on this that caused us to step back, move things around. So there was additional time spent on doing the construction management portion, and the cost of that is $38,000, which is once again about an 8% increase over what was originally approved. So we're looking for a recommendation on that. With the added cost, the total project cost will be $511,000.
Questions or comments from Alderman? Like to entertain a motion?
Motion to adopt Resolution 23R3121.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Kavieski.
Aye.
On to staff reports, with no staff reports for tonight, do we have any reports or comments from Alderman? Alderman Spiegelberg.
I'd just like to thank Alderman Kavieski for his service to the community and God's blessings on the next chapter for you.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Just kind of want to say what Karen said. Just thank you for your time to the city. Thank you for being one of the people that kind of brought me into this, and I'm just excited to see what you do next.
Thank you.
Alderman Mulder.
You are responsible for me sitting here. We're sitting in my living room, having some Christmas eggnog, and we talked about this, and so thank you for your guidance and leadership and wisdom. A lot of the things that we discuss, I don't know who's going to bring up some of the finer points. The meeting will no doubt go more quickly, but with less color to it, so thanks.
Alderman Rozak.
Hey, Lou.
Hey, Matt.
So I had to write something out. I have for some of the other people that I had I think a good connection with on council. I first met you, I think, probably 10 years ago. I think I was running for office first, and you were running against Tom.
Yep.
and I think it was at Roots. And if I recall, and Lori was there as well, and I don't think anyone showed up.
Yep.
And that was our first meeting, and that was fine. But what I could tell is you were excited to serve, and you obviously later on got, a short while later, your chance to serve. And since being on council, you could not have been more committed or better advocate for your constituents in District 2. You've always served with passion and purpose. The amount of time that you spend on serious fundraising efforts and projects for the community, things that better the community, has been absolutely amazing. I can't name them all, but to name a few, I think that were big priorities for you and passion projects: the splash pad, police body cams, the police canine Western Lakes projects, and the list would go on in the I think 8 years you've been on council. 6 years? 8 years? 6, 8, whatever.
Feels like.
It feels
Yeah,
longer.
feel like that, but yeah.
More importantly, you served with courage and took tough votes that you knew were right. You never shied away from discussion or debate because it might have been uncomfortable, controversial, or difficult. You made your position known, but you were also open to new information, and that is a sign of a true leader. The community will miss your involvement on this council. As for me personally, you were always a strong ally in council, and I knew I could count on you to make tough calls and think smart and critically on every issue. You also left emotion, biases, and special interests at the door. You were also a respectful opponent when we disagreed, and I respect you for that. I will personally miss your experience, understanding, and leadership on council, and I wish you the best, my friend.
Thank you.
Alderman Ellis?
Lou, I also want to thank you for everything that you've done for the city. I remember when I really wanted a skateboard park here, but I had no idea on how to really put it together. And you stepped up to the plate, and you went ahead, and you got the funding, and you got everything that was necessary, and I appreciate that. Also for the time that you put aside to go ahead and spend trying to make sure that this city was as safe as it possibly could be. I appreciate that because it really, really kept us focused on so many times when you just kind of wanted not to do anything, but knowing that you were out there, it's like, oh, I better get out there and do something too. And I appreciate that about you and your ideas. Some of them were kind of quirky, say the least, but it made us think and it gave us good conversation. And I appreciate that. And finally, Lou, I forgive you.
Any other comments from Alderman? Alderman Shellpepper?
Well, I don't have any remarks prepared, Lou, but I think it was, 3.5 years ago probably that we first met when when Stray was stepping down and, you know, you didn't really know me at all, but you took me under your wing, engaged with me, never, you know, I mean, you just encouraged me and wanted what was best for the community and, you know, you left kind of partisan affiliation at the door. I mean, you never asked me anything. You just wanted to know how my views were on the community and how I was going to make the community better. And so I think you've been a great leader. You've been a great representative for your constituents. And even when we've disagreed on things, you've always continued to encourage me. You've always, you know, you've never held it against me because you're like, hey, as long as the actions you're taking are in the best interest of the constituents, that's all that matters. So it's going to be tough to, you know, have you not there in that seat anymore, but I know we'll continue to be friends and in contact. So thanks for everything you've done for me and for the city.
Appreciate that a lot.
Alderman Douglas?
I'll try not to be long-winded with you, Lou, but yeah, what they said.
Well, thank you. Any other comments before we move on? Lou?
Yeah, it can't be a meeting unless I'm
saying something at the end, right? Yeah, timer. So I tried, I tried to thank all of the directors and staff leadership over the last several meetings. Mark, I believe you're the last director position that I haven't thanked that's been here. Stan, thank you for all of your tenure and your guidance in regards to the city growth and development. Our streets connect and align. Thank you. Mark, you have served the city for many decades, and you have
3.3.
not that anybody's counting, right? But you've gone from a lower to the highest non-elected position in the city. That comes with great responsibility and earned over the course of those 3.3 decades. Thank you for serving the city, for serving the elected officials that sit in these seats and providing them with information so they can make good policy decisions. So I know you'll continue to do that as things move on. So thank you very much for that. Dan?
That one?
I already said that one.
Oh, yeah.
Your legal guidance to keep the city out of trouble is of great value, but I think you send a bill every year, so there is a value paid.
I deserve every penny there, Lou.
Oh, well. And you provide color to the conversations that are had on the council floor, and all of that is done with the best interest of our community, and appreciate that. I mentioned to a couple people that I'd have some written word that I'd like to say. And I think over the last 6 years where I may have spoke a lot, I generally did not have anything written. I'm not good at that part of it, but I'm gonna give it a shot. So as we end this meeting, votes are being tallied here in the city and around the state to determine the direction of what local government, school boards, and judicial benches look like moving forward. This includes 4 aldermanic seats here in the city, school referendums, and the state Supreme Court. Our form of government is not a democracy. It is a representative republic, constrained and defined by the Constitution. That is not remembered and not learned as often as it should. And as elected officials here, we need to remember that. And those who are elected moving forward need to remember that, in that we do not hold the power within the seat. That remains with the people. If you remember how you're supposed to serve, you will serve well. And as an alderman for District 2, I have tried to do that for not just the citizens in District 2, but for the city. And anybody that knows me knows I have not been gifted with the ability to speak from the heart and passion without having some pauses in there. So it's because it matters a lot. We serve not for just today, but truly for generations to come. Think about what we've done over the last year, let alone 6 years, and how it's formed the community for us to live in today, our kids to grow up in, and our grandkids. That is the power of the position of the vote and the service, whether you're elected or staff. So I leave the seat freely for the next citizen to represent the people of our community. And as a part of the whole, the decisions made here will continue to form the community that we want to create to keep our kids here, to watch us grow old, hopefully take care of us as we grow old, and to represent the next generation of citizen leadership that we are in desperate need of, not just locally, not just within the state, but nationally. We are the bright, shining city on the hill. We truly are. And Oconomowoc is a great representation of that. I have taken great pride in that. I grew up in West Dallas, but this is my home. I got a tickle. Because again, you don't call home to someplace lightly. Anybody who gets moved around a lot, you got a bed and a room, but where home is where you feel safe, where you create a family, and you create memories. And I'm proud to have been part of creating some of those memories that Alderman Ellis and other aldermen have mentioned, like the skate park, the splash pad coming up, advocating and working with Bob Duffy on the Oz Plaza figurines, and Karen, seeing that to continue to grow. Not everybody likes what is done, but not everybody has to like what is done, because it is part of a bigger picture. And we have forgotten how to deal with that as individuals on a bigger scale. The comment that was made in citizen remarks, and to you, Alderman Ellis, I have no problem with an elected official advocating for a project or a position. I do have a problem, and I mentioned it at the time, when an elected official takes a step across the line. If you wouldn't have had the shovel, it would have had just as much impact. There were steps being made, and it is our job as citizens and elected officials to work within the process to get those things done, and that was on the way to being done. And I hope elected officials, both here locally, across the state, and across the country, remember that. We are in a very uneven, unbalanced time in our history. I don't think anybody will disagree with that. I think there is a craving and a desire to find that again, not just for today, but for our generations to come and our kids. That is why I serve as an elected. That's why I will continue to be involved in our community, is because of my family and yours. So, I return to what I consider the highest office in the land, and I've said this a lot. It is not alderman, with all due respect. It is not mayor, and it is not president. It is citizen. hopefully, we remember that collectively. We take the responsibility and the accountability as a citizen, and today is a great example of that, as you should have been casting your vote for what your elected officials will look like starting tomorrow. Have high hopes and high expectations of them and hold them to that by loaning the authority and not giving it away. It is yours. You're the sovereign citizen. And my family was here when I was sworn in. And they're here as I leave. Could you stand up? Ha. That's what I serve for. So with that, I've taken up enough of your time. You don't have to worry about me taking up any more of your time in meetings to follow. And it is after 8 o'clock, which means the tallies are being calculated. And we will know, hopefully sometime tonight, what the future holds for these seats. God bless you all.
Thank you, Lou. And I think also a big thank you to your family, because the families go through an awful lot for what all of us do here in this horseshoe. And thank you very much to the Kavieski family. Lou, your passion is contagious. 6 years of serving the community, which is probably still just a starting point for you. But it's something that not a lot of people do. And you really see that because very few people, other than the people here and some people on some committees, really give back to their city to make it what it is today. So on a personal note, Lou, thank you very much. You've done so much, and thank you to the whole family, because I know what you guys are going through. And it's all of us do that with our families. There's a sacrifice much more valuable than time or money. It's what you go through. And lastly, because I'm going to talk a little more, it's going to be really hard for me because I usually call a vote, and then there's a second, then it's either comments, and where's my head always go? Right over there. And I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. So we'll see who wins that spot, Lou, but I definitely will miss that. Also a thank you, and to dovetail a little bit off your discussions about the city, the country, your recommendations of where to go at Washington, D.C. were spectacular. We took every one of them. My wife and I just came back. We were there for 6 days, 6 full days. And when you sit in this table and we're doing what we're doing, it means so much when you go back and look at that. And it's something that we oftentimes forget. And as a person that's never gone to Washington, D.C., I'm kind of embarrassed. And if there's anybody out there, anybody that's listening that hasn't gone, please go. Bring your wallet with you. It's expensive, but it's just an incredible place. And looking at the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, looking at all of those things and then sitting at night underneath Abraham Lincoln, wow. So that, and there's so much more. So Lou, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. And thank you all for coming. It is a special day as the polls have closed at 8 o'clock. So with no further comments, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Rosick, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a nice